Hey everyone, Dr. Berg here. If you're over 60 and noticing more hair in the shower drain, on your pillow, or thinning around the crown, I want you to stop for a second and listen. This is not just about aging. What you're seeing in your hair is a warning sign from your body, a biological signal that something critical is missing. It's about nutrient deficiencies, insulin resistance, and hormonal shifts, and these factors directly affect your hair follicles, often long before the thinning becomes obvious. Here's the shocking truth. Most people over 60 are told a quiet lie. They're told that hair thinning is simply the price of getting older, that it's written into their genes, or that nothing can be done except to accept it or cover it up. But the reality is far more unsettling and far more hopeful. Hair loss in older adults is not an inevitable consequence of aging. It's a visible sign that the body is struggling to supply the nutrients and energy hair follicles desperately need. Hair follicles are among the fastest dividing cells in the human body. They rely on a constant, uninterrupted supply of amino acids, minerals, vitamins, oxygen, and energy. When your body senses scarcity, hair growth is one of the first processes to be shut down. This isn't cosmetic, it's survival. And after 60, that survival mechanism is triggered far more often than people realize. One major reason is declining stomach acid. Research shows that low stomach acid hypochlorhydria is extremely common in older adults, even those who feel perfectly healthy. Why does it matter? Stomach acid is essential for absorbing protein, iron, zinc, calcium, magnesium, and vitamin B12. Without it, food looks nutritious on your plate but becomes nearly useless in your bloodstream. And hair follicles don't care what you eat, they care what actually reaches them. Protein deficiency is another overlooked culprit. Hair is made primarily of keratin, a protein rich in sulfur-containing amino acids. Even mild protein insufficiency can push follicles into a resting phase, causing shedding and slower regrowth. Many over 60 adults eat less protein due to fear of cholesterol, difficulty chewing, or outdated advice. Over time, this creates a slow, silent erosion of the building blocks hair depends on. Then there's biotin. This B vitamin is directly involved in keratin production, and even marginal deficiencies can cause brittle hair, thinning strands, and hair loss. Here's the kicker. Biotin deficiency often doesn't show up clearly in blood tests. Hair loss may be one of the earliest signs. Zinc is equally important. It regulates hair follicle cycling, DNA repair, and protein synthesis. Older adults absorb less zinc, even though their requirement remains the same. When zinc runs low, hair follicles shrink, weaken, and eventually stop producing strong strands. Iron, often overlooked in older adults, is critical for oxygen delivery to the scalp. Without it, follicles suffocate at the cellular level, causing diffuse thinning and poor regrowth even before fatigue or lab changes appear. And nutrition is only half the story. Insulin resistance, which becomes increasingly common with age, plays a devastating role. High insulin levels constrict blood vessels, reduce scalp circulation, and increase inflammation around hair follicles. They also drive hormonal imbalances that accelerate follicle miniaturization. This is why so many people over 60 experience hair loss even when they eat enough calories. The problem isn't how much you eat, it's what your body can actually deliver to the follicles. Here's what most people don't realize. Aging alone doesn't cause hair loss. Aging increases vulnerability to deficiencies, malabsorption, and metabolic stress. Hair loss is the symptom, not the cause. And the most important truth? Many follicles in older adults are not dead, they're dormant, starved, and waiting for the right signals to re-enter the growth phase. This means the window to slow, stop, or even partially reverse hair loss is far wider than most people believe. And the first step? The breakfast you eat, but not just any breakfast, a simple combination that stabilizes insulin, nourishes follicles, and supports regrowth naturally. Welcome back. Now that we understand why hair loss after 60 is not inevitable, let's talk about the most powerful breakfast you can eat every single day, one that slows hair loss, strengthens follicles, and supports regrowth naturally. And no, you don't need drugs or supplements for this first step. The truth is, most older adults have been misled. For decades, we've been told that eggs are bad for us, that fat makes you sick, and that a safe breakfast is cereal, toast, juice, or other low-fat, high-carb foods. Convenient, familiar, but quietly destructive, every bite spikes blood sugar, drains nutrients, and starves hair follicles without you realizing it. Here's the science-backed alternative. Eggs plus healthy fats. Eggs are not just food. They are a biological blueprint packed with everything hair follicles need to survive and thrive. Hair is made of keratin, which requires sulfur-containing amino acids, biotin, zinc, iron, and complete protein. Eggs deliver all of these nutrients in a form your body recognizes instantly. Let's start with biotin, a B vitamin critical for keratin production. Biotin deficiency is linked to hair thinning, brittle strands, and shedding. And the part most people miss? Egg yolks are one of the richest natural sources of biotin on the planet. Yet millions of older adults discard the yolk, thinking it's harmful. Without the yolk, keratin production slows, strands weaken, and follicles lose the strength needed to anchor hair firmly. Eggs also provide sulfur, which is essential for forming the bonds that give hair its strength and resilience. When sulfur intake drops, hair becomes fragile, thin, and prone to breakage. And eggs deliver complete protein, meaning your follicles get all the amino acids necessary for hair growth. Older adults often struggle with protein absorption, so efficiency matters a lot, but eggs alone aren't enough. Without healthy fats, many of these nutrients are poorly absorbed. Natural fats from avocado, olive oil, or even butter in moderation serve multiple critical roles. Hormone stabilization. After 60, hormonal shifts and chronic inflammation shrink follicles. Healthy fats reduce inflammation and maintain cell membrane integrity. Nutrient absorption. Vitamins A, D, E, and K are fat-soluble, meaning they require fat to be effectively absorbed and delivered to your scalp. Vitamin D, in particular, is essential for hair follicle growth. Blood sugar regulation. Fats slow digestion and prevent insulin spikes, protecting the delicate scalp capillaries that deliver nutrients to follicles. Here's why this combination is so powerful. Eggs plus healthy fats replace a breakfast that damages hair with one that feeds it. Cereal, toast, and juice spike blood sugar, inflame tissues, and restrict circulation. Hair follicles exposed to repeated spikes age faster than the rest of the body. By contrast, eggs and fats maintain metabolic calm, stabilize insulin, reduce inflammation, and improve circulation, all signals your follicles interpret as, it's safe to grow. Even more fascinating is choline, a nutrient abundant in egg yolks. Choline supports cell membrane repair, nerve signaling, and circulation. Poor circulation is a major contributor to thinning hair after 60. By including eggs and fat in your breakfast, you're not just feeding follicles, you're restoring the environment they need to function. Clinical observations and scalp biopsies show something incredible. Many follicles in older adults are dormant, not dead. When nutrition and blood flow improve, these follicles can re-enter the growth phase. And eggs plus healthy fats provide exactly the signals required for this transformation. The best part? You don't need perfection. One calm, consistent breakfast every morning can start to reverse metabolic stress, reduce inflammation, and signal your hair follicles that it's time to grow. The moment you replace a sugary, nutrient-poor breakfast with eggs and fat, your follicles begin receiving the raw materials, oxygen, and metabolic support they've been missing. Now that we understand why eggs and healthy fats form the ultimate hair-supporting breakfast, let's go deeper. Because what you eat in the morning isn't just about calories, it sets the hormonal and metabolic tone for your entire day. And this is especially critical after 60. Here's the truth. Insulin is not just a blood sugar hormone. It's a powerful vascular regulator. When insulin rises sharply, it constricts blood vessels. In younger bodies, this is usually well tolerated. But in older adults, particularly those over 60, scalp circulation is already fragile. These tiny capillaries that feed hair follicles are among the first to suffer. Every high-carb breakfast, cereal, toast, pastries, or even healthy oatmeal triggers a rapid insulin spike. On paper, it might seem harmless, but at the follicle level, the consequences are severe. Restricted blood flow means hair follicles receive less oxygen, fewer amino acids, and fewer essential minerals. Over time, this forces them into a premature resting phase, accelerating hair thinning and shedding. It gets worse. Chronically elevated insulin doesn't just starve follicles. It alters hormone balance. After 60, estrogen and progesterone levels drop, and androgen activity becomes more pronounced. High insulin amplifies this effect, miniaturizing follicles and turning thick hair into fragile, wispy strands. And there's another silent danger: inflammation. High blood sugar drives the formation of advanced glycation end products, AGEs. These molecules stiffen blood vessels, damage proteins, and inflame tissues, including your scalp. Hair follicles exposed to chronic inflammation age faster than the surrounding skin, often entering the shedding phase prematurely. Here's the silver lining: a low-insulin breakfast interrupts this cycle. Eggs and healthy fats are digested slowly, preventing spikes and maintaining steady blood flow. Stable insulin keeps capillaries open, circulation improves, and follicles receive the oxygen and nutrients they need to stay in the growth phase. Studies confirm this. Research on low glycemic diets shows improved microcirculation, reduced inflammation, and enhanced tissue repair across multiple organs. And hair follicles, being among the fastest dividing cells in the body, respond rapidly to these signals. Shedding slows, growth stabilizes, and follicles that were previously dormant can reawaken. Timing matters too. After an overnight fast, your body is metabolically sensitive. Breakfast is your first opportunity to send a message. Resources are available, safe, and consistent. One wrong meal, a bowl of sugary cereal, or a fruit smoothie with added sugar can send the opposite signal, forcing follicles into a protective shutdown mode. Over weeks and months, these repeated spikes quietly accelerate thinning. The beauty of eggs and healthy fats is that they don't just supply nutrients, they create a stable metabolic environment. Protein and fat-based meals produce minimal insulin response, reduce oxidative stress, and lower inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein and interleukin-6, which are directly linked to hair loss. Stable insulin also allows better nutrient transport. Even if your bloodstream is full of amino acids, zinc, or biotin, follicles can only use them effectively when insulin is stable. Many people over 60 see hair loss despite eating enough. The problem isn't calories, it's functional nutrient delivery. Low insulin meals protect follicles from being starved even when nutrients are present in the blood. That's why clinical observations show hair shedding often slows within weeks of shifting to a protein and fat-based breakfast before any supplements are added. And here's a critical insight. Hair follicles respond to patterns, not single meals. One day of healthy eating won't reverse years of metabolic stress. But repeated, consistent low insulin mornings quietly transform the environment. Follicles sense stability, inflammation decreases, blood vessels relax, and dormant follicles slowly re-enter the growth phase. We've established that insulin control and a low glycemic breakfast set the stage for healthy hair. But if you think eggs and healthy fats alone are enough, think again. Hair follicles are metabolically demanding structures. They need a full spectrum of nutrients, consistent oxygen delivery, and a low inflammation environment to thrive. Without this, even the best breakfast can only do so much. Let's start with micronutrients, the unsung heroes of hair growth. Zinc, iron, selenium, biotin, and vitamin D are not optional. They directly influence follicle function, keratin synthesis, and the ability of hair to resist damage. After 60, absorption of these nutrients naturally declines, so you need to be deliberate. Zinc, for instance, regulates DNA repair and protein synthesis. Without enough, hair enters the resting phase early. Iron carries oxygen to follicles. Low iron creates a hypoxic environment, literally suffocating your hair at the cellular level. Selenium supports thyroid function, which controls the hair growth cycle. Biotin is critical for keratin production. And vitamin D? Its receptors sit directly in the hair follicle, influencing growth and repair. But micronutrients don't work in isolation. Hydration is a surprisingly powerful factor. Blood flow depends on water. Even mild dehydration reduces scalp circulation, starving follicles of oxygen and nutrients. Studies show that low hydration increases oxidative stress in tissues, accelerating follicle aging. A simple habit, drinking water consistently throughout the day, directly supports hair density and strand strength. Next, consider inflammation, the silent thief of hair. Aging is associated with inflammaging, a low-grade chronic inflammation that slowly erodes tissue health. Hair follicles are exceptionally vulnerable. Inflammatory cytokines disrupt stem cell signaling, impair nutrient delivery, and push follicles prematurely into the shedding phase. This is where dietary choices and nutrient timing matter. Foods high in sugar or refined carbohydrates trigger inflammation and glycation, damaging blood vessels and scalp tissues. Conversely, anti-inflammatory foods, avocados, olive oil, fatty fish, leafy greens, reduce oxidative stress, calm cytokines, and create an environment that supports regrowth. There's also timing and consistency. Hair follicles respond not to single meals, but to repeated patterns. Eating nutrient-dense, low-insulin breakfasts every morning sends a clear metabolic message. Nutrients are abundant, blood flow is steady, inflammation is low. Over time, follicles interpret this signal as safety, stabilizing the growth phase and reducing shedding. Dormant follicles, which were starving for weeks, months, or even years, can begin to re-enter the growth cycle. Preparation matters too. Soaking nuts or lightly roasting them improves mineral absorption. Combining protein with healthy fats enhances bioavailability of fat-soluble vitamins, ensuring that every bite counts. Even small tweaks like adding omega-3 rich walnuts or selenium-rich Brazil nuts can make a dramatic difference in follicle health. Stress management cannot be ignored. Elevated cortisol pushes hair follicles into the resting phase, increasing shedding weeks later. Daily habits, deep breathing, light exercise, sunlight exposure, or short meditation lower stress hormones enough to protect hair. When combined with proper nutrition and hydration, these simple interventions create a synergistic effect, transforming the scalp environment into one that encourages thick, resilient hair. And here's the empowering truth. Hair loss after 60 is rarely irreversible. Dormant follicles are waiting. Provide the right nutrients, improve blood flow, reduce inflammation, stabilize insulin, and follicles begin to thrive again. Every choice you make every breakfast, every glass of water, every anti-inflammatory snack sends a signal that matters. Even with all the knowledge about eggs, healthy fats, low insulin, hydration, and micronutrients, many older adults still struggle with hair thinning. Why? Because hidden habits and small mistakes quietly sabotage follicle health every day. Understanding these missteps is critical. The first mistake is skipping protein at breakfast. Many seniors still cling to the low-fat cereal myth. Toast, bagels, or sugary oatmeal may feel light and convenient, but they spike insulin, promote inflammation, and leave hair follicles starving for amino acids. Remember, hair is made of keratin, a protein-rich material, and follicles are among the fastest dividing cells in the body. Without protein in the morning, you signal your body that growth is not a priority. Over time, this accelerates shedding and slows regrowth. Another common trap is over-reliance on supplements while ignoring food. Many older adults take multivitamins, biotin, or collagen powders, thinking they've covered hair health. Yet, supplements cannot compensate for poor circulation, high insulin, or low-quality protein. Follicles need nutrients delivered efficiently through a functional digestive system and combined with fats for absorption. Supplements alone are rarely enough. Next is hidden sugar and refined carbs throughout the day. Even if breakfast is perfect, Frequent snacks like crackers, sweetened yogurts, or pastries keep insulin elevated, reduce scalp blood flow, and create chronic inflammation. Hair follicles respond to the daily pattern of nutrient delivery, not isolated meals. Repeated spikes quietly push follicles into premature shedding. Hydration neglect is another silent culprit. Older adults often feel less thirsty due to changes in thirst perception, yet scalp circulation and oxygen delivery are directly tied to blood volume. Just 1-2 cups of water lost in a day can reduce oxygen and nutrient flow to follicles, subtly accelerating hair loss over months. Inconsistent sleep and high stress amplify the problem. Cortisol surges at night can push hair follicles into the telogen or resting phase. Even short periods of chronic stress or poor sleep accumulate, creating delayed shedding weeks later. Hair follicles remember these metabolic and hormonal signals they do not forget. Now, let's turn to what works: the daily routine that restores hair naturally after 60. 1. Breakfast. Protein plus healthy fats. Start each morning with eggs and avocado, or eggs and olive oil. This provides complete protein, sulfur for keratin, biotin, zinc, selenium, and fats that stabilize hormones, reduce inflammation, and improve vitamin absorption. This meal sets the tone for the entire day, keeping insulin stable and blood vessels open. 2. Hydration. Drink water consistently. Aim for small sips every hour instead of large amounts infrequently. Hydration supports circulation, nutrient transport, and follicle health. 3. Anti-inflammatory snacks. Mid-morning and mid-afternoon include nuts like almonds, walnuts, Brazil nuts, and cashews. Avoid peanuts, pistachios, and overly processed snacks. These nuts deliver omega-3 seconds, selenium, zinc, and protein that directly nourish follicles while reducing inflammation. 4. Balanced lunch and dinner. Include high-quality protein, vegetables, and healthy fats. Minimize refined carbs and sugars to stabilize insulin and reduce oxidative stress. Rotate foods weekly to cover all micronutrients. 5. Stress management. Even 5-10 minutes of deep breathing, gentle stretching, or a brief walk reduces cortisol and protects hair follicles from entering the resting phase prematurely. 6. Sleep hygiene. Prioritize 7-8 hours of deep, restorative sleep. Growth hormone, which repairs hair follicles, is released during deep sleep, so timing matters. Avoid late-night snacking and screens before bed. 7. Consistency over perfection. Hair follicles respond to patterns, not extremes. The most powerful changes come from daily repetition. Every breakfast, hydration, nutrient choice, and stress-reducing habit adds up over time. By identifying mistakes and implementing a structured, nutrient-dense routine, older adults can stop hair thinning, improve density, and even reactivate dormant follicles. What feels like irreversible loss is often just a reflection of neglecting the daily micro-decisions that feed or starve hair. Now that you understand the biology, the mistakes, and the nutrients your hair craves, it's time to put it all together. This is the ultimate 7-day recovery plan for women and men over 60, designed to stabilize insulin, reduce inflammation, deliver key nutrients, and reactivate dormant hair follicles. Each day is simple, repeatable, and scientifically grounded. Day 1. Start with breakfast that nourishes follicles. Begin your morning with 2-3 eggs cooked in olive oil or butter plus half an avocado. Eggs deliver complete protein, sulfur for keratin, biotin, and zinc. Avocado provides healthy monounsaturated fats that support hormone balance and nutrient absorption. Drink a glass of water before eating to prime circulation. Avoid toast, cereal, or fruit juices. They spike insulin and stress follicles. Day 2. Anti-inflammatory snacks and nuts. Mid-morning, enjoy a handful of almonds or walnuts. These nuts provide omega-3 seconds, vitamin E, and zinc. Brazil nuts are perfect for selenium. Just 1 or 2 a day is enough. Skip peanuts, pistachios, and sugary bars, which can drive inflammation and block nutrient absorption. Keep hydration consistent. sipping water or herbal tea throughout the day. Day 3. Lunch with protein and color. Lunch should focus on lean protein, colorful vegetables, and healthy fats. Think grilled salmon with steamed broccoli and olive oil, or chicken with spinach and avocado. Protein provides amino acids for keratin, while vegetables supply antioxidants that combat oxidative stress in follicles. Healthy fats stabilize insulin and support fat-soluble vitamin absorption. Avoid refined carbs like white bread, pasta, or sweetened drinks, which constrict scalp circulation. Day 4. Optimize dinner for hormone and follicle support. Dinner should mirror lunch. Protein plus vegetables plus healthy fat, but add variety. Try eggs in a frittata, baked trout, or turkey with roasted vegetables and olive oil drizzle. Include choline-rich foods like eggs or organ meats to improve circulation and nutrient delivery to follicles. Rotate foods to prevent nutrient gaps and ensure broad coverage for hair health. Day 5. Hydration, movement, and stress reduction. Focus on circulation. Gentle movement like walking, stretching, or yoga enhances scalp blood flow. Drink at least 6-8 glasses of water throughout the day. Include anti-inflammatory spices like turmeric, ginger, or cinnamon in meals to reduce follicle inflammation. Take 5-10 minutes for deep breathing or meditation, lowering cortisol and preventing follicles from prematurely entering the resting phase. Day 6. Sleep optimization and follicle recovery. Prioritize 7-8 hours of restorative sleep. Sleep triggers growth hormone release, which repairs follicles and supports keratin synthesis. Avoid late-night snacking, alcohol, or screens before bed, which spike insulin and disrupt sleep cycles. Follicles use this recovery time to transition from the resting phase back to active growth. Day 7. Evaluate and repeat. By day 7, you should notice subtle changes, less shedding, more shine, and stronger strands. The goal isn't instant transformation, but creating a daily rhythm that supports hair biology. Repeat this weekly routine consistently. Hair follicles respond to repeated signals over time, not one-off interventions. Track your progress by noting the thickness, strength, and shedding rate weekly. Additional tips for maximum recovery. Rotate nuts and proteins. Ensure almonds, walnuts, Brazil nuts, and cashews are included in different meals to cover all micronutrients. Support thyroid function. Include selenium and iodine sources. These regulate follicle cycles. Avoid insulin spikes. Minimize sugary drinks, pastries, and refined carbs. Be patient. Hair grows slowly, but follicles can reactivate within weeks if the environment is right. The science is clear. Hair loss after 60 is rarely permanent. Dormant follicles can awaken when insulin is stabilized, nutrients are abundant, inflammation is low, and circulation is strong. Every breakfast, every snack, every hydration habit, and every night of deep sleep is a signal to your body that it is safe to invest in hair growth again. This 7-day plan is simple, actionable, and rooted in biology. By following it consistently, seniors can slow shedding, improve density, strengthen strands, and even encourage regrowth all naturally, without expensive treatments or unproven supplements. Remember, it's not just what you eat, but when and how consistently you deliver nutrients, maintain circulation, and manage metabolic stress. Follow this plan, repeat it, and give your hair the daily environment it needs to thrive. Transformation begins quietly, one day at a time, and the results compound as follicles finally remember their true potential.